Hello, in this video I'm going to be doing an orchid showcase of my Phalaenopsis I-Hsin Spot Eagle Montclair. I believe it's AMAOS from Norman's Orchids. So this is an orchid, if you haven't already noticed, that I got a couple weeks ago in an orchid haul, and it has bloomed out its bud, which I actually thought was going to blast, and I'll show you in a second why. But it's bloomed out its bud nicely. It looks amazing. It actually has a little bit less of a tessellation than the online pictures show, and I'll insert one of them here. But regardless, it's still a nice pretty flower. I love the deep red color, and I love that it actually gets to sort of like a very light pink. It sort of fades into this light pink that's on the column. And the flowers are very tiny. They are very, very substantive. The sepals back here are very thick. The petals are not as thick, but they're still thicker than most Phalaenopsis. It actually feels like some sort of Venosa or Michelitzii sort of hybrid or species flower. Definitely very thick. So before we get into the rest of the flower, let me show you first the name tag right here. I-Hsin Spot Eagle Montclair, yeah, AMAOS, and this is I cannot remember this one, but yeah, Black Eagle, and then there's another cross right here that's a complex Phalaenopsis hybrid. So this is a very complex Phalaenopsis due to these two parents being already complex hybrids. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to sort of do any hybridizing with this particular orchid, but I did want to get it because, as you can see, it's like a tiny orchid. This is a 12-ounce plastic cup, and this is about as big as the orchid will ever get from the photos I've seen online, and it will just produce more leaves. So it's a very small Phalaenopsis. Oh, and the backs of the flowers have a nice contrast. Similar to the orchid that is in my profile picture, it has an almost white background to it, and I'm sure if I look, there will be some Michelitzii in the background, which usually causes this white background here. But let me show you the bud right here, and let me tell you why I thought it was going to blast. If my wonderful camera will focus. Let's see. Okay. So you can sort of see that the bud itself is kind of open, and I don't know if we can see the other bud right here. You see they form kind of like they grow like already when they're young. They're kind of open, and the only time I've ever seen that sort of happen with Phalaenopsis flowers is when I've over applied kelp or seaweed extract, and so I thought that they were going to be mutated and they weren't even going to open, but I waited. I actually had the urge to cut the spike just to have it sort of put more energy into this leaf, but I didn't, and that's just the way they grow. So if you ever do get this orchid and you have some sort of fear about the buds being mutated, that is just the way they look, and that's just the way they grow. So of course it has a nice wine color, white background as you saw earlier. The lip isn't too showy, and the lip itself is sort of held. It's not held necessarily like 90 degrees to the column. It's pointed a little bit up towards the column. So it's not necessarily as showy as other lips, like say a Phalaenopsis tetraspis, a Corningiana, or even a Violacea or a Bellina. And it does have a sort of like orange fragrance. Yeah, it's a sort of like citrus fragrance, but it's very lacking in the sort of I guess sourness aspect. It smells very much like a cleaner, like a plastic orange sort of smell, and I think the citrus smell that I'm getting is from the Phalaenopsis gigantea, which also influences the shape of the flower in it being very round. So yeah, not much more to say about this one. The roots are great. I've kept it in this moss. Actually, I have been keeping it sort of in just a little dish under it, and sort of been growing it that way. But I've recently been cutting this part off of my phals, my new phals, and putting them in the cup and just allowing them to grow like that, because it gives the roots a little bit more room to sort of grow, and they're not so squished up in there. And I'll just show you what I mean, because I'll do it right here so I can show you. So this is all that I'm talking about, just taking the plastic nursery pot off of the moss ball and just allowing the roots to get access to more oxygen. And this will actually allow the moss to dry out quicker, and so you can have sort of more waterings in a certain amount of time, which I feel like most orchids prefer more consistent frequent waterings rather than what I've been doing, which is once a week, and that's why I've been misting some of my orchids daily now. Orchids and Hoyas and Nepenthes as well. But yeah, more consistent frequent waterings rather than, you know, once a week. I feel like once a week is good for Cattleyas, and that's about it. Like Vandas, Phalaenopsis, other ones. I mean, phals you can get away with it, but Vandas and definitely most other types of orchids prefer to have sort of more frequent waterings. Anyways, beautiful flower, cute little baby round flower, cute little baby round plant. Not much more to say about that. Let me show you the tag one more time. Get all focused. There we go. I-Hsin Spot Eagle. I do believe Norman still has these available on his site. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.